Hi crafting friends, my name's Carla, or the craftingDVM here on YouTube. I also have an Instagram. I recently started using it again, but this is my first YouTube video. To preface, this is actually a terrible time for me to try to start recording anything. I just graduated vet school. My lease ends in a month, so I've started packing slash I probably should be packing right this second, but something grabbed a hold on me and I couldn't know peace until I tried to record something. I'm also in limbo with employment. I thought I had a job and it turns out that they are still trying to decide between me and another candidate. So hopefully if you're seeing this, that means that I've gotten a job either at the place that I just referred to or somewhere else that I'm happy with. So I figured that for my first video ever, I would like to do a little introduction about myself, what kind of crafts I like to get up to, and kind of my hopes for what I'll get out of making this YouTube video, or this channel. Like I mentioned a bit ago, I just graduated vet school, and that is a job that I love dearly. I am excited to start my career once I finally get a job, but it's also something that once I leave my work, I want to be able to turn off and have hobbies that I enjoy to do outside of that. And funnily enough, before vet school, I don't actually think I really had hobbies. Like I read in theory, like most people that say that they like to read, school kind of beat out um, reading for fun for a long time for me. And then cooking maybe was another thing that I mentioned as my hobby. But other than that, I didn't really do anything artsy. I always say that I'm not super creative, but now that I've kind of found a creative outlet, I think it's just finding what lights my passion. So in vet school, I met a couple really dear friends, Jess and Erica. I don't think that they'll watch this video ever. I'm not planning to tell them that I'm making this, but they were super crafty, and I kind of found my love of crafting through that. I realized how fun it was to, just get together and dab and get to work on our separate projects. Jess, in particular, lived near me throughout vet school, and so I was always able to just go to her apartment, and she had the biggest stash of supplies, and she was the type of person that would see a new craft and immediately go out and get everything to try it. Meanwhile, I would look at something that I wanted to do and, save it and say, oh, maybe one day I'll get up to it. And then years can go by and I'm still in that phase of, oh, one day I'll try, one day I'll try. So I've also been very inspired by that attitude. And so now that we've graduated and we're all going our separate ways, I want to make sure that I have something that really pushes me to continue those crafts. I'm really big on body doubling, so it's also really helpful to have crafty friends that even if we were doing our own thing, I was just around them and that encouraged me to work on everything. But now I won't have them immediately by me, so I want to, maybe meet some people online that I can do that with through the crafting. And I've said that word so many times. I discovered that when I'm by myself, I really like to watch things on YouTube, specifically any sort of like crafting podcast. There's the word again. First, I started with crochet, and I loved to watch Toni at TL Yarn Crafts, and she makes all sorts of really great videos. She has tutorials, but she also has these yarn snob reviews that I really love to watch. And then she also has some kind of podcasty ones. Sometimes she goes on with her mom, who is hilarious. I love the videos that she makes with her mom. She has some vlogging types for when she goes to festivals, yarn festivals, and things like that. And so I always really enjoy watching her. And then I kind of started watching some knitting podcasts. I don't know how to knit, but that is something that I would like to learn how to do in the future, which I will get to. I'm determined not to keep just saying that for years and years. I will learn how to knit. But I started watching Celine at Woozy by Celine and Knits, who her name escapes me. I always want to call her Veronica, but it's not Veronica. Oh, my phone's I'm using my phone. I was gonna say let me look it up, but I'll tag everybody down below. And they both of them have really relaxing voices, so I love listening to them as I'm working because it gets me in a really great headspace to just relax and do something. And then one day I'll know how to knit and I can watch them all knitting. And now show some of my finished projects and works in progress later for all of my hobbies that I've developed, but Flosstube has taken over. It started with Jason X Stitches. I found his video. Um, it popped up as a suggestion, and I loved watching all of his work. And then that led me down to Sheldon and Stitches, and then I ended up with Frizzy Lizzy Stitches, and she has her group of friends that I've slowly started to explore all of their pages, and I am just enamored with the community that I've seen them find, because I started, especially with Frizzy Lizzy Stitches, she has like, I think she's on episode 77 or something, and I started with one, and I binged all of those videos, and it was so cute to watch her grow and find so many people in the community. What I also really enjoyed watching the videos was just seeing kind of glimpses of their life and life updates, which I think is also something I'd like to get out of making my own videos. Just remembering, like right now, I'm kind of down in the dumps about being in employment limbo, but hopefully next time I make a video, you know, I'll be in a completely different situation. So, without further ado, I have for you an array of things. I don't know anything about video editing yet, but I'm going to try to make everything into chapters or time skips, whatever they're called. That way, you know, if there's a section that you're not interested in, you can just hop on to the next one. The first one that I want to start on is something that I think is very special, and it is bone collecting. I found bones, my first set of bones. This sounds very morbid. I found my first set of bones on a hike. I think there was some possum bones. And from there, I guess surveillance bias, I just started seeing them everywhere. Once you start finding bones, everybody knows you as the weirdo that likes them, and then when they find some, they offer you some. And so now I have a pretty good collection. Locally sourced, since it's all been friends. From there, I've cleaned them myself, and I have put some into decorations. So that's a big preface, a big prologue to say, maybe if you don't want to look at them, skip away, you know, in case you get squeamish. But this is something I've made with the first set of bones I ever found. This is just I don't even know, a little decoration thing that I found at Michael's, and the inside was perfect to make myself a decoration. My plan is to glue on some sort of piece of metal so that I can actually hang it on the wall, but it's also thick enough that I can just have it standing. Again, I'm about to move, so I don't have anywhere that I've been able to play around with where I'm going to put it. Next, I have this beauty. This is a deer spine, or at least part of it, and I have it mounted on this wooden plank that I think I got at Hobby Lobby, perchance. And if you see right here, this little detail, that little worm, I made out of oven baked clay, which is another thing that I got into with my friend Jess. She had the oven baked clay. I do plan in the future to get my own, because we also made some jewelry, which were very cute, some earrings, which I've already packed up, so unfortunately I can't show. And I would love to continue that in the future. And lastly, I have more, but I didn't want to, you know, show all of the things. I'm sure I can bring some more out later. But last but not least is this beauty. This one I cannot take full credit for. My friend Jess made the ground. She had started to decorate it, and then first it was going to be a little propagation station. I also like house plants, as you can tell. And she had glued on a little mason jar. But then, once we started doing all these bone crafts, we decided that it'd be really cute for this guy instead. And so I made this big mushroom out of the oven baked clay, and these blue ones. And then the little mushrooms, I'm pretty sure Jess also made, and I just stole some. So that is one thing that I really like. I still have some more bones that I haven't mounted or made into a decoration, and so that's definitely something that I will hopefully have more to show in the future. Next, I got into crochet. I mean, this is not in any chronological order for when I actually did the activities, but I also really like crochet. gifted away a lot of the things I've made, or I've made them with people in mind and not necessarily something that I would want to keep for myself. So I don't actually have that much that I've made for myself that I can show. But I do have a couple things. I have made, this is the very first thing I made, I think. And it's a bralette that I'm doing a terrible job at showing you. A bralette, there's the cups, and it has this kind of like corset tie. This is a terrible, I don't know how better to show you. But anyway, this is the very first thing that I've ever made. It fits pretty well, but as you can see, I never even hid those little tails, what it's called. I never woven the tails. Gosh, you'd think I've never done this before. Then I've also made this little mushroom chapstick holder. Couldn't tell you what number project this was, but love that. And then this is probably one of my oldest works in progress because it's supposed to be one day a granny square cat blanket. I thought a human-sized blanket was way too big of a project, and so I wanted to try to make a cat blanket. These are the combinations of colors. There's probably more combinations, but there's red, there's white, and there's pink, and then I kind of mix and matched all of them. I believe I have 16 granny squares. And what's holding me up is that all of the yarns were slightly different of their fiber content, and so even though I made them completely the same, they're not all perfectly the same size. So I really need to block them so that the edges all meet up really well before I connect them. But I don't have a blocking mat, and I never got around to MacGyvering myself some sort of blocking setup. So one day I will block these and I will sew them all together, and then I can give them to the friend that I don't even think she knows I planned to make this for her. She actually has my very first and only knitting project that I made for her baby back in 2014. I made a little baby blanket, and I made it so small that baby probably could only use it for like the first 3 months of its life. I don't even know when you start to give babies blankets, so maybe the baby never got to use it. Anyway, he's not a baby anymore. And she still has that thing, and she uses it as a cat blanket. She has it on her cat tree, and that's what inspired me to try to make her a new and improved one. So Bethany, if you ever run across this will one day be yours. I also really like to make crochet blankets. I've made 5 so far, and if I find out how to do it, I'll try to include some pictures. Oh, I've made 5 and then another baby blanket for a different friend. So I will include some pictures here as I ramble. Yay! What else have I made? I got into making little stamps. Again, Jess decided she wanted to make stamps, so she got the materials for herself, and then one day I went over and I said, hey, that looks cool, I want to do that. I'm showing you these, I don't know how well you can see them right now, but I have also stamped them on a piece of paper so that you can see. I think this one Jess actually might have made, and she just gave it to me, but this was a lot of fun. I don't know if I will want to buy myself the supplies to make them again, but maybe if I get a cool idea in my head to try to make another one, I will. But this one's my absolute favorite. I need to figure out ways to use it more because I absolutely love it. And it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Granted, you know, they're not super intricate designs. I've seen some people make some crazy cool ones. Next, I got into junk journaling. Again, anything that I've started has probably been because Jess also did it. So Jess, this is also kind of just a appreciation video, apparently. She started junk journaling. I took a while to get into it because it's kind of a combo of just collaging, which is something that I actually used to like to do, and junk journaling, and it took me a while to kind of find the vibe and kind of figure out what I wanted to do when I started. So anyway, I won't show you the whole thing, but I figured I'd show you a couple of my favorite pages that I think really describe my aesthetic. And so there's this one, which All of these are stickers from some sticker books that I bought. Well, my mom bought it as a gift for all of us because she knew that we were getting into it. And then this are, ooh, that is from scrapbook paper and some magazine, like these little full pieces were from like a quilting magazine. Let's see what other page I want to show y'all. Oh, this is so cute. This is more scrapbooky, but these were a love letter to two dogs that I spent a lot of time with in vet school, neither of which are mine. And in the center are these precious poems that I got. There was somebody at the farmer's market here in Blacksburg where I went to school that would make, they had their typewriter and you could go up to them and say, hi, can you make me a poem about blah, blah, blah. And then she'd say, yes, tell me about this topic. And so I asked for a poem for Leo over here and Dobby over here. And then I printed out pictures of them from CVS and I made a little love letter. And now when I miss them, I can open my book and look at them. And then lastly, another one that I think really describes my aesthetic is this page. A lot of the pictures that I used, especially in this middle portion, were from the Blue Ridge Line, I think is the magazine. I did an externship with the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center, and they make their own magazine, and it's very informative, it's very cute, and it has a bunch of great pictures that after you finish reading it, I could collage with. Last but not least, I am really into cross stitch. Now, I've only stitched maybe 4 things that I'm done stitching. 3 of those are fully finished. 2 of those fully finished I have already gifted to people. And so again, I will try to include pictures when appropriate if I figure out how to do that. This is my first ever cross stitch. This was a kit that I think was from Joann's. May she rest in peace. I don't know the name of it. I don't know any of the details, but this was my very first baby. I also was the first time fully finishing in a hoop, and I try to follow a tutorial about drawstringing it in. It worked pretty good, but not great. So like I just hang it from this little piece, and it kind of jets out from the wall just a little bit because this is not fully flat. So I'm looking forward to learning different methods to finish the back of it. The next thing that I have fully stitched up, but not fully finished, is this teeny tiny little mushroom. I got this at a store in South Dakota that had a funny name. It was like Samuel's or something. And so it doesn't have a name, but that's the chart, so I won't show it off more. So I don't know how I want to finish this because it's so itty bitty, and there's like barely any margin on this side piece, so I wouldn't be able to do the kind of like stitch around that I did on the first one. So maybe I'll try to make. Now that I've gotten into Flosstube and I've seen all the different ways I can finish things, maybe I'll try to make it into a tiny little pillow or something. I have not gotten into any sewing, but now that I've watched how helpful it would be to make project bags and different sorts of finishes, I think I need to get into sewing because it's just would open a whole new world for me. The other finished projects that I've had for cross stitch was one called Tough Tits that I made for my best friend while she was going through chemo, and I finished that up in a frame. Hopefully there is a picture floating here next to my head. I think I just got a piece of cardstock and glued the excess fabric down onto the cardstock to help pull it taut, and then I found a frame at Goodwill, and I really like the way that it finished. I definitely would love to make more of those and maybe try to donate it somewhere because I have plenty of floss left over from the project. It was not very many stitches at all. The other product that I finished, I gave to a piercer that I really liked here in the area, and I don't know if I'm allowed to show a picture or say any of the words on YouTube because it's a little PG-13. So, maybe look away because it's some boobies and a vulva that were pierced. And it's part of a larger project called Vulvalicious. So again, that might give you ideas of why I can't show it, but I'll maybe add the picture of the little miniature thing that I gave. Again, I think I glued down the excess fabric onto some cardstock, and I found the teeniest, tiniest frame at Michael's. I believe that's all of my cross stitches that I've finished in some way. And next, I can show you some works in progress. I have been a monogamous stitcher up until this point. I haven't done that many projects, and none of them have been particularly big, so it's been really easy to be monogamous on them. But now I'm starting to try to change that because as I watch more videos and see more patterns and get more inspiration, I understand why people have 10 things going on at a time because everything is so cool and I need to make them all. So I have 3 works in progress. Still nothing super big. I am definitely still a beginner. I didn't even know, as I will explain in a second, about fabric counts. So this first one that I have, I'm calling Cowboy Advice. There's no pattern, and it's from a meme, which I'll add the meme here if you don't know it before. And um, I'm trying to recreate it because I can't find the pattern. I'm trying to recreate it off of a picture that I saw in a Reddit post. I'll try to link that down below. The person that posted it did include a link to an Etsy shop, which no longer exists. And so I couldn't get a pattern, but I have wanted to do this for years, probably 2 years since I first started cross stitching. I remember seeing it and thinking that it'd be hilarious to try to make that, but I didn't think that I had the skills at that time to try to do it. So now I feel a bit more confident. I'm trying to do it. The words I feel pretty confident with, like so far so good, but there's a little possum that I'm going to just try to color match as best as I can off of the picture, and we will see how it goes. But there's this one. Next, first of all, isn't this the cutest thing ever? One of my really good friends, Megan, made it for me. She does sew, and she's amazing at it. She sent me this when she asked me to be her maid of honor. I don't know what the full intention was for it, but I'm using it as a project bag because it is perfect size. So in here, I have this itty bitty disco ball that was from a kit from Hobby Lobby. And let's see, I have it all bunched up in here. Wow, I left this as a mess. So here is all of the progress that I have on it so far. I mean, there's not much to see yet, but so this came with a tiny little hoop like that mushroom, and I thought that instead of doing that, the project itself is really tiny. I think it's only like 35 by 35 stitches, and I counted it out, and I could fit like 4 of them with barely any margin. But I thought what would be cute is to try to fit 4 of them and then finish them off as little keychains, and then send them to some friends, and we could all have matching keychains, and it'd be really cute. I also got this kit purposely because it had, I like the design, but I got it because it had black fabric, and one of the things that I want to make next has black fabric, and I've heard that it can be kind of hard to work on it because obviously it's dark, you need really good lighting, it can be hard to see the stitches, etc., etc. So it's also practice for that, which I guess I'll talk about in plans. I have not had a great organization this video, so I'm sort of trying to copy the general like pattern that I see in other Flosstube videos, but I also wanted this to be like a finished project of all my hobbies. So my third works in progress is one that I'm not even sure has a name. I guess that's the name. Silhouette Bear Cross Stitch. It's from, here's a better picture of it with color. It's from Loops and Threads from Michael's, a kit that I got not too long ago, but I went ham on it. I didn't take it out of this hoop to show, but hopefully you can get a good idea. I suppose this is a full coverage piece. I mean, there's no gaps in the middle. This is what I've got so far. And I have it off center because it finishes like right up to the edge of the hoop. And so I need it off center so that I can actually reach the edge. Um, I really like it so far. I'm having a great time on it. Oh shoot, that needle minder does not have a needle on it. Hopefully I can find that. I don't know any of the specs on this. I will hopefully one day be good at that once I have more projects to show. But this is my full first coverage piece, if you can count it as that. This is the first time that I've done this light blue, no, light green color is 2 threads of different colors, which I thought was really fun. It's a lime-ish green and a white thread that you thread together, that you cross stitch together. And I really like that. So much so that down here, as you can tell, I'm leaving the bears for last. And they are originally supposed to be all of this bottom part, and all of the bears are just DMC 310. But I think what would be really cute is for the bears to do 1 thread of the black and 1 thread of one of the greens. I haven't decided which one yet. I figured I'd play around and see what looks good. I got the idea actually also from Jason X Stitches. He has a piece that is all black, but on one part of it he does 1 strand black, 1 strand of something else, and in another part of it he does 1 strand black and 1 strand of a different color. And overall it still looks black, but it has like a very slightly different undertone. So I thought that would be really cool for this piece. And that's, I think, all I wanted to show y'all. Oh, plans. I think I'll leave off plans for now because, again, my life is in a big mumbo jumbo. I kind of just made this so that I could get the itch scratched. I could not know peace until I made this video because I decided that I wanted to do it and I had to do it. I'm going to upload this video once I know my next couple months for certain. And from whenever this gets uploaded, I would love to make a video like every 3 weeks or so. That feels like a good amount of time to get some stuff done in between. And we'll go from there. I will try to show a little bit of all of my hobbies in each video, but right now I am hit with the cross stitch bug, so I think that's what I'll probably be focusing on the most. Also because that's the easiest thing to leave out while I'm packing. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I shall see you next time, I guess. Bye. This is a terrible outro. Now I can understand why it's so hard for others to wrap up the